Okay, thank you so much for having me on your presentation, on your conference. So my name is Oleksandr Krakovetskyi. I'm the CEO at DevRain, a software development company. I'm located in Ukraine, in Kiev, so hi from Ukraine. I have a couple of awards from Microsoft, such as Microsoft Regional Director and Microsoft AI Most Valuable Professional. I work a lot with the artificial intelligence and now including generative AI. So I will be glad to talk about the rise of generative AI and how it will change for software developers. So please, next slide. So the first thing, yesterday I just found a topic on Reddit where it was named something like the crude developers are not needed anymore. And it was something like an Indian guy that said, we just created an application just in one day for everything connected with the crude operations. So of course, it's not something that was very difficult. And of course, we had a lot of approaches how to do it previously, but that was something for one day, and it was the hypothesis that developers are not needed. I'm not so skeptical regarding the future of software developers, but still I think that that's the revolution not only for developers but in general. So let's see how it changed the landscape of how we work. The first thing, we are talking about large language models, and before all this Gen AI revolution, we had a lot of natural language processing tools and models that could do some search, some summarization, rewrite some styles. But the real revolution became when these large language models started able to generate some text, including programming code. And that was the technology trigger for, I would say, for everyone, because let's move to the next slide. Because if you will see that the generative AI technology started not a lot of time ago. We could say that embeddings were introduced in 2014, and the OpenAI appeared in 2015. The first GPT model was introduced in 2017, and in 2020 we have a couple of models, and we did not have any leader on that. You will see you can see here Google, OpenAI, Meta, Microsoft. And just imagine, just in 2020, we had the biggest model from Microsoft. It was 70 billion parameters. So just remember this number because it's quite important. Let's move to the next slide. So in 2019, Microsoft make a deal with OpenAI and invest $1 billion in OpenAI. And just in 1 hour, in 1 year, we there was an introduction of GPT-3, which was a very good model, but it still did not have a lot of noise. And only after ChatGPT arrived to all of us, that becomes a huge number of new services, of new models, and the new era of artificial intelligence became. Let's move to the next slide. So as you can see here, just remember the call. We said that 17 billion parameters was the model from Microsoft, and GPT-3 had 175 billion parameters. And GPT-4 that was introduced recently in the last year, in this year, we had approximately 1 trillion or maybe 1.5 trillion parameters. So you can see that how fast this technology evolved just in a couple of years. So the first question, let's move to the next slide. So just look at this landscape of OpenAI models. It was something like a 6 months ago. You can, sorry, you can see GPT-3 family of models. You can see GPT 3.5. There is no GPT-4 models. You can see DALI in beta, Whisper in beta. You can see Codex a limited beta and also embeddings. The next slide, and just compare to the current state. So GPT-3 models become legacy. We have two state-of-the-art family of models, GPT 3.5 and GPT-4. We had DALI Whisper is out of beta. We have embeddings moderation. And we also can see the deprecated models, which also a codex that also became a deprecated. So it just a 6 months. And the landscape of all these OpenAI models changed dramatically. Let's move further. Okay, so the first conclusion I would like to say that generative AI technology evolve very fast. It means that if something is not working very good right now, or we still have some kind of hallucinations, we have some legal issues with programming code or with some other things. But anyway, it's evolved very fast. It means that in couple of years, maybe in couple of months, I don't know the exact time frame, but we will have the better technology, better service, and all these issues were mitigating. And that's a very important conclusion, because if you are skeptic against generative AI technology, which is okay, but you need to understand that that will change dramatically. Let's move further. Okay, so as we are on the developer conference, I would talk about codex models, because this model was introduced for generating programming code. Um, so as you can see, it was a Code Da Vinci and Code Cushman. It's two models that were available, and developers actually were able to use it. But now they are replaced by the state of the art models, which are GPT 3.5 and GPT 4 models. So from the beginning, we had a big range of models, more than 10 models. As for now, we have two major models, and that means that the GPT-4 and GPT 3.5 models are able to generate programming code as well. So you can use one model for all type of developer and other tasks. Let's move forward. And this is the GitHub Copilot. This is the first product that was introduced by Microsoft with a cooperation OpenAI. And that time, so it was 2020, I would say, uh, it was just the, I would say correctly. So IDE Visual Studio Code was just the front end for the Codex model API. It was very simple, and it had a lot of issues with the quality of generated code, but still it started an era of generated code. Let's move forward. So if you would see the statistics regarding the code acceptance rate, so it means how many time how many time developers accept code that was introduced by GitHub Copilot, and you can see that through the year the acceptance rate increased from 27 to 35 percent. And if you will read some reports from Microsoft, you will see that the numbers are quite good, and a lot of new code that added to the GitHub platform is created with a GitHub Copilot. Let's move on. So this year, Microsoft announced a new project, which called GitHub Copilot X, which is a totally new product, and it uses a GPT-4 model, and it has a big range of different tasks for software development. including generating documentation, answering some questions connecting to the specific programming tasks or specifically to your programming code, to your project. So you can ask questions about why this exception is happened or how I can fix this issue. So if you remember, we had this joke about Stack Overflow that will be very good to have integration with a Visual Studio. So this is something very similar because you have Stack Overflow and other type of knowledge inside your IDE. It's not only Visual Studio because it has integrations with other IDEs as well. Also, it supports a big range of programming languages, not only C Sharp, I don't know, or JavaScript. So it has a big support of different languages. And I would say that all the script languages like JavaScript and also languages like Python, Java, they are very good. The best, I think, the best generation thing for the SQL database because SQL queries are very similar to just the regular language, English language. So the quality of such generation is very good. Let's move on. Also, there are a couple of other features like AI generated PR descriptions. It could be automated testing automation. So, because nobody love to do some automated testing, and sometimes we skip this in our project. So now GitHub Copilot can help us with that. Let's move on. And this is the one of the major component of the GitHub is a GitHub Copilot chat. So here you can interact with this Copilot, so you can ask questions. Also, you can see that there is the integration between your specific project, between your code and the chat. So you can improve your writing skills with a GitHub Copilot. Also, I started to try this these tools, and I would say that it's a new tool, so it will not work from the scratch. You still need to learn how to use it correctly, how to produce accurate code, how to improve your performance. It will not work from the scratch. It's not only about the GitHub Copilot. It's about all copilots that already introduced or will be introduced in the future. So that's a new skill to understand how to interact with the copilots. Also, OpenAI and other services actually has an API. That means that even you are not a machine learning engineer or data scientist or data engineer, but you still will introduce a lot of different applications and integrate OpenAI there. Also, there is a fine tuning approach, which is the customization of a base model. What does it mean? It means that if you would like to improve how language model generates your code or other text, you can fine tune. So you can introduce your own examples and explain language model what the output you would like to achieve. And fine tuning is from one side, it's not very complicated. From other side, it's not a classic development. So let's move on. And the next slide, please. Yes, and this is the second conclusion I would like to share, that software developers should learn AI fundamentals. Uh, if I would say that 5 years ago, I would see the skeptics in your eyes. But right now, this is the recommendation because now AI will be everywhere. Even you are, as I said, even you are not AI developer or ML engineer, you still need to understand how AI works, and you need to learn some kind of approaches, at least no code approaches, or automated machine learning or open AI APIs. But you need to understand the basics of how it works, because because tomorrow when you will have a new project, it definitely will have some kind of AI. So you need to be familiar with that if you would like to be competitive in the labor market. Let's move on. Next is prompt engineering. So we know Rust, C Sharp, Java, or something like this. But now we will need to learn a new programming language, which is a prompts. Uh, it's more easy language, programming language that we say, because it's just the native language. It's just the English or Ukrainian or other language, and we just need to explain language model what we would like to achieve. But of course, for simple task, we just could say, please generate some blog post about, I don't know, AI threats, for example. But if you would like to achieve a good results, and we have some very niche domain, we will need to do some prompt engineering. So we need to slightly improve our prompts to achieve a good results. And this is a new, how I'd say, it's a new blue ocean, because uh, prompt engineers became a new profession, like DevOps previously that were converted from developers and administrators. Now it could be ML ops, and now it's a prompt engineer. Next, please. Okay. Also, as Microsoft is invested in OpenAI, they started integrating ChatGPT and GPT technologies in almost all projects. Um, if you are a developer, you can start using not OpenAI, but Azure OpenAI service. It's the corporate version of OpenAI, so you will have the same features as OpenAI has, but you will be integrated into Azure environment. So you will have more integration with data, more security, more role-based access, and all the power of Microsoft Azure ecosystem. And this is the answer to the question, okay, we don't want to use generative AI technologies because we are afraid of data leak or data security. So Azure OpenAI Service is the answer to this question, because this is the corporate version, and no data will be exposed outside your environment. Let's move on. Um, that should be a demo, but unfortunately I don't have access to share my screen. But anyway, let me explain it in my words. So ChatGPT also have a couple of plugins. For example, browse with Bing allows you to have access to um, to the internet, to the Bing index. That means that if you will try to generate something without just a base model, without access to internet, you could have some biased result or hallucination or something like this. So, for example, if you will ask, what do you know about Oleksandr Krakovetskyi? Uh, the regular model would say, I don't know anything. And that will be true, because there is not a lot of information about me in the internet. But if you will choose the browse with Bing and ask the same question, it will browse the internet, find the relevant mm, links, click all these links, and summarize all the information. So you could quickly do some kind of research. You could quickly find some answers to your questions, maybe some overview of the topic, and that could significantly decrease time for research. Next is advanced data analysis plugin, which is, for me, this is my favorite tool right now, because as it states from the title, it's a data analysis. So you don't need to be data engineer or data analyst anymore to start analyzing data. Advanced data analysis works as the following. You are sending your prompt, your task, and ChatGPT start generating Python code to solve your issue and then executes it in some sandbox. Uh, so that means, and advanced data analysis contains more than 200 libraries, Python libraries in this sandbox. That means that you could OCR documents, you could send your PDF and ask some questions for the content that inside this PDF. The next, you can send the CSV file or JSON file and ask to analyze this file, to make some plots, to make some summarization. And very interesting addition that it not just generate the code and executes it, it also contains all this knowledge base of ChatGPT. So, for example, if I analyze information about fast foods in USA, I don't need to explain what is fast food, what is USA, what is Washington, D.C., what is California, what is McDonald's, and if I what is heat map or what is plot, I just can say this is the file with all fast foods in USA. Please filter all the McDonald's restaurants in California and make a heat map, and it will do. And this is awesome because you don't need, as I said, you don't need to be a developer, you don't need to be a data scientist, data engineer to do this kind of work. And this is a new approach how we will work with data, how we will work with the services. And the next steps, the nearest future is the new copilots. For example, Microsoft will introduce Microsoft 365 Copilot, which will be integrated into Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, Microsoft Outlook, and will give you opportunity to interact with your data in corporate environment with using Copilot. And also, if you will search in a web about copilots that already introduced, you will see a big range of copilots starting from Microsoft, which I counted like more than dozen of copilots that introduced already. Also copilots in Notion, in Google, in Adobe Photoshop, and all other services. So this era of copilots started this year, and we will see a big range of tools that will significantly improve our productivity. And one of the next steps of this is autonomous agents that will be powered by artificial intelligence. When you will give a task, for example, order a pizza, and it will be break down into specific steps, and for each step a service will be introduced and associated, and the orchestration will work to achieve the goal. And this approach is also tested right now, and it's also powered by generative AI technologies and artificial intelligence. So thank you so much for your attention. I would say, of course, 30 minutes is not enough to explain in details. But anyway, my perception was to introduce you to generative AI, to explain that this is a new wave of how we will uh, interact with our programming code, with our working environments, and that's potentially could change the world and how we work. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you. We have a time for two questions. So if you have questions, please raise your hand. Yeah, Stas, if you can help me.
Did you know if Microsoft still support the ML.NET, or most it's better to use Python for that?
So Microsoft never positioned ML.NET as a big competitor of Python. That means that you still can use Python if it's more relevant to your project. But ML.NET is up and running, so you can still working with that. For language models, you can use a semantic kernel. It's another tool that allows you to interact with OpenAI and Azure OpenAI models.
Great, thank you. Do we have any more questions? Alexander, for you to know, they are waiting for lunch, so that's why they may like keep silent. Like, no, don't ask any questions. We want to eat. Yeah, Alexander. So
You're
thank you very
welcome.
much for your performance, and we hope, yeah, let's all those applause go to you. We hope in the nearest future, as soon as possible, to see you not only online but come here, and we also want to come to Ukraine, and meet together in person. Yeah, so thank you very much for your performance. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.